Hi everyone, welcome to the introduction to SPSS, which is the statistical package for social sciences for the course HUEC 3012, AGEX 3012, and AGBU 3012. Depending on what your project is, you will have to use some statistical software. This is one of the most commonly used ones worldwide for data analysis. So I have a presentation here that goes through SPSS, and I will have a real-time tutorial on how SPSS is actually used. And the reason why I did this video is a helpful resource for everyone. So everybody learns at a different speed, and you can learn at your speed. If you're confused with anything, you always can pause the video and take your time and move through the material as quickly as you can and try to understand how to operate the program. So, as I said, main question is, what is SPSS? Well, basically, SPSS is a statistical software that is used to analyze large or small sets of data for projects or individualized research, etc. SPSS basically stands for the statistical package for social sciences, and it's one of the most commonly used statistical software out there on the market. Its main benefits are actually using the point and click aspect of it, and it's one of the oldest programs that features a point and click platform. So it's commonly used throughout research or in different organizations. So what I will do now is, most persons may be using Windows 10 or Windows 7. If you're using a Windows 7, I would suggest that you get the SPSS program once you have it installed on your system. If you don't, you can always let me know and I can give you a copy of it. If not, you can speak to our IT techs at our department. So we have how to open the program. You're going to start all programs, and then you go into IBM SPSS statistics, whether if you have the older version. So there's version 12.0, 16.0, 21.0, 23.0, and there are later versions, I believe, 24.0. So this is how you get into it. I have a little graphic here on how you get into it on Windows 7. If you're using Windows 10 like I am, you can just go by Fontana here, and you can just type in SPSS, and you have IBM SPSS Statistics 21. That's the version I'm using. If you're using a later version, that's okay. Once you open it, the program will take a little bit. It takes a little long. You see the screen come up. Basically, it's open, and we have mine open. So what you have here, sometimes when you're first opening it, you're going to see this dialog page, and it's going to ask you if you want to open a particular data source or run a tutorial, type in data, or run existing queries, or if you want to create a new database. For now, some persons choose not to have this dialog box open all the time, but for our purposes, we would ignore this. So we can close this off. So what we have here are basically SPSS in a nutshell. So this first page is what we call the data view page. In this data view page, you're able to enter your data and actually take a look at your data to see how your data is spread throughout all the different participants. Another window that's very popular in SPSS is your variable window. This variable window is basically used to create variables to which you have to enter your data, and I'll go through this later on. At the top here, we have basic functionalities such as file, edit, view data, transform, and we'll go through these later on. Analyze, this is where you do most statistical analysis. You would see like descriptive statistics if you want frequencies and cross-styles for chi-squared analysis. Compare means if you want to do independent t-test, one way ANOVA, correlate, if you do correlation, regression, etc. Depends on what your project is about. You may have to conduct some of these analyses. Then we have direct marketing, which you know necessarily are not going to use this, Graphs if you're going to develop graphs for your project, utilities, add-ons, windows, and help. And then we have some broad icons here to shortcuts to create, give you better flexibility and functioning when you're using the program. So basically, these will be the two windows, apart from the Analyze Transform tabs that you mainly be using while you're analyzing your project or any data in general. So let's go back to the presentation. So as I'm saying here, we have two main windows. We have the data and variable view windows. I just have a diagram of what it looks like basically, and this is the variable view. The first one was the data view window. There are also two other windows. We have a syntax editor and a script window, which if you're into programming, these are quite helpful. If you're not a big fan of basically pointing and clicking and you're rather type out programming code, these are the options you use, such as the syntax editor and the script window. Typically, most persons try to stay away from that, so it's totally up to you. The benefit with the syntax and the script windows, in case you want to repeat commands, you don't have to basically point and click over and over and over, which could become very tedious and monotonous. With the syntax editor and the script window, you can actually copy and paste your commands or rerun your commands over and over by just click a button. So rather than having to click 3 or 4 times. Okay. This is what some data would look like. It looks basically like a spreadsheet in Excel, where you have, after you have your questionnaire coded and entered, the coded information is what you would enter, and it basically just looks like a spreadsheet of numbers across the board. So moving on, and we have another window called the output viewer, and in this output viewer, this is where you actually see the results of your analysis. So when you run a command, the output, or let's say the tables that you get, it actually goes into a separate window that displays all the results, whether it be frequencies, means, etc. And this is what it looks like basically. So I just have here, I ran a basic frequency on gender between males and females, and typically for some projects, some persons or supervisors typically copy and paste these tables into their presentations or their reports. However, to me, for a rule of thumb, you actually should develop your own tables and charts using whether it be Microsoft Word or any text-related software, and using Microsoft Excel. I think this is very important when you are creating any report from results from SPSS or any statistical program. So next, this is what the syntax editor looks like. Basically, it's broad code that you're using based on the headings and the tabs that are used to run the analysis. And in the script window, that's where we go into a little bit more detailed programming language to run the analysis and conduct the same analysis that you would do if you were just pointing and clicking. Here, I have what the data view window looks like. There's a description, and this is what a variable view looks like. And if you're entering some data, this is what, if you're creating a variable, this is what it looks like. And I'll go through that later on to show you all. But basically, the point of this presentation is just to familiarize you with what SPSS and its functionalities are. And I go in more detail on what the variable windows are, and I'll go through that later on. And the data view, remember when you use a coded questionnaire, the codes that you actually put, they actually mean particular words or options for, like, for example, for questionnaires or surveys. So there's an option in SPSS to actually see what these labels are in terms of when you have the data entered, if you want to minimize errors that you're making. So in terms of data entry, there's a really important part in terms of the research process. You have to collect valid data and reliable data so that the conclusions and interpretations actually make sense. And sometimes a rule of thumb is rubbish in, rubbish out. So you actually want to pay a lot of attention in terms of when you're collecting your data, that you try to minimize any errors in terms of when persons are responding. So that's why we typically would pre-test a data collection tool such as a questionnaire before we actually go and collect any data, because we want to actually collect the information that is needed to answer our questions or research questions or objectives that are for our study or project. So when you're actually entering your data, typically sometimes you make mistakes. As with anybody, if you're doing something monotonous and repetitive, it's natural. Human error always occurs. So you must also, and we'll go through how we do checks and balances and verifications for your data before you start analyzing it. So that's basically an overview of the data entry process. So in terms of opening a data set, usually you would go into File, go in Open, you click Data, and you find your data set that you already have information in, and you go from there and open it and start to analyze. And like I said, it looks like this. Again, there's a lot of numbers, but there's a feature on the program that if you actually click that, these numbers are actually transformed into what the codes are. And for the end of this presentation here, some helpful points. What I have here is it's important to have prepared analysis plan before conducting any analysis. You just don't want to jump into doing any analysis and then you end up doing a whole set of craziness, and then at the end of the day you have something complex and you yourself cannot explain or nobody else can explain. It's important to do analysis as related to your study. That's very, very important. There are several times students, from my experience, have conducted analysis that basically wasn't related to their project, and in essence they didn't answer their research questions or research objectives. So that's vitally important. It's important that you save your data set and your results, the output view, at the end of every analysis session that you have. Whether it's with your supervisor, whether it's with me, whether it's with another statistician, whether if it's by yourself or with anybody else or with a friend, always save your results at the end of the day and email it to yourself, because sometimes unfortunate events happen and the data sets and the output files are either corrupted or lost, and basically you then have to start all over entering your data. And that could range between 400 questionnaires or 500 questionnaires or thousands of questionnaires. So you have to always keep updating your data set. And when you're saving your data set, always save it as version 1, version 2, version 3, version 4, version 5. And keep the original version and email between you and your supervisor or your boss. Okay? Alright, so let's get back into the data SPSS here. And let's open some sample data. So we're going to File, we're going to Open, and we're going to Data. Right? I have mine saved on my desktop, and I have it labeled as example.sav. Typically with SPSS files, the file part is actually named SAV, which is a feature of SPSS. So typically you just click that and hit Open, and we have some data in front of us. What I have here is a survey which we did on some persons from Trinidad and Tobago, looking at dietary intake and BMI and energy expenditure. So I've cut down data just to look at some main variables, which look at gender, age. I created some age groups as well: education, ethnicity, height, weight, BMI, energy consumed, which is by calories, BMI and BMI categories. Right? For this data set, we have 11 variables, and if we scroll down to the end, we have approximately 580 participants. Okay, and if I was to remove the codes here, right, what you would see, instead of seeing male, female there, if I go on to this 1/A, which has value labels, you actually now see the numbers, right? And you can see here I have males coded as 1 and females coded as 0, right? And you can see that across the board. But for rule of thumb, I typically like to have this on so I can see what data I have in front of me. It's vitally important that if you're using questionnaires or surveys, you number your questionnaires and surveys. And when you're entering your information, you actually create a separate variable called participant ID or survey ID that will actually enter the information for each questionnaire or survey. So, for example, questionnaire 1, we have this person was male, and I had this questionnaire 1, right? Male, his age was 33 years old. His highest level of education was secondary school. He is an Afro-Trinidadian. His BMI is 18.12, and he consumes on average 2,454 calories per day. And under the BMI classifications, he's labeled as underweight, right? And we have this for several different persons. Even though on the left-hand side here, we have numbers here going from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? Sometimes when you open your file, the data is jumbled up. Sometimes if I go here, and let's say I sort this by descending order, you see number 1 here, but that participant ID is 580. That's not our first person. So a rule of thumb, I always try to have a separate variable that has a participant ID and survey ID so that you can enter it there to make sure that your data is in order at all times. Okay, let's put this back into ascending order. And to do this, if you want to get this feature, you just right click at the top of the variable and you just hit sort ascending or sort descending. Okay, all right. So let me just give you an example of what the analysis will look like, the output viewer. So if I was just to run a basic mean on the average age of my entire project here, or all the participants, I could go and analyze descriptive statistics, descriptives, and I could throw age, highlight age, and press the arrow there and throw it over into variables. I can hit options and see, let's say I just want mean, standard deviation, minimum, maximum. These are preset into the program, so you don't have to select this. And then I hit continue, and then I hit OK. Right? I don't select save standardized values as variables. I just hit OK, and you would see actually the output page, that will be the first page that comes up automatically, and you will see the results of your analysis. So we have the variable, which is age. The number of participants, which is 580. The minimum age was 18 years old, maximum 84 years. The average age was 28.63 years, and the standard deviation was 13.048 years. Okay, so this is what the output page would look like. And let's say we just wanted to see a breakdown of the gender, right? And if we want that in the same analysis, right? So we can go in descriptive statistics, frequencies, gender, gender. You can show gender across in the variables. Let's say I want a pie chart of this. So I go check statistics, make sure I have none of these checked off, right? Because I don't want mean or median or standard deviation or minimum maximum for this because it is a nominal variable or categorical variable. So I will come out of that. I will go into charts. I say I want a pie chart, so I'll hit pie chart. Excuse me. And I would like to get the percentages rather than frequencies. So I hit percentages, select that, I hit continue. Formats, we can ignore this, it's not really important. And bootstrap, if you have that on your version, you can ignore this as well because you're not performing any bootstrapping analysis. Make sure you have display frequency tables checked off, that is vitally important. You see the frequencies and percentages as well. And if I hit OK, give it a little while and it would come up. So as you can see here, we ran our frequency analysis here. You can see on the statistics how much persons was included in the analysis. So all 580. For the gender, you have females, we have 325 participants and 56, this accounted for 56%. And whereas for males, we have 255 and this accounted for 44%. And this is our pie chart right here. Okay, with females being highlighted in blue and males in green. Okay, and let's say we wanted to go back up to our analysis with age, right? We can just hit descriptives up here because we know we did that first, and there it is. Okay, so let's go back to our data. Now there are two ways to go back to your data. You either can go to the bottom of the SPSS list there and hit the example data there, or you can go by window for that option, and then you can go into your data set from right here. You hit the checked off button there, and it takes you right back to your data set. Okay, so this is the first part of the series of videos I'm going to do that's going to help you analyze your data, help interpret your data, and help write up your final year projects for the future, or for any other projects you're doing later on. Okay, guys, and I'll speak to you soon. Okay, take care. Goodbye.